And here we are then, folks. Here is the G.I. Joe Classified Series Sgt Slaughter figure. In packet, in hand. It has sailed its way across basically every ocean to make its way to me here in the United Kingdom, all the way from Hong Kong. I've picked this up as import stock. I'm doing my bit to support the smaller UK-based collectible retailers rather than buying direct from Hasbro Pulse, and that obviously has its benefits because the import stock here has arrived long before the kind of main shipping container has landed in the United Kingdom. So very pleased to have one in hand. It feels like it's been a hot minute since I've spoken about G.I. Joe Classified series here on the channel. At least in the terms of, you know, positive, I've got a figure, not in the terms of having a good old moan about the fact that things are taking ages to ship, yada, 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 yada. So, yeah, it's great to be talking G.I. Joe Classified. I was starting to think I was turning into a Marvel Legends stroke DC Multiverse channel for a little while there. Let's have a quick look at the packaging here then. So it's the windowless packaging. We've got the artwork here on the front. The fact that it's windowless is a minor issue for me. I know for some the windowless elements is a big problem, but I obviously order the vast majority of my collectibles online. So the opportunity to have a peek at the figure and check out the paint apps before I pick it up and all that is not an element of my purchasing habits, nor am I concerned that I'm going to be opening this up and finding anything other than the Sgt Slaughter in there. However, I understand the arguments. I'm just saying, you know, it doesn't bother me. I'm quite happy. And to get lovely artwork on the front of the packet like this is a plus in my eyes. And this is an interesting kind of selection of artwork that they've chosen to go for here. Got a little bit of a kind of Sunbow animation representation here in the bottom right-hand corner. Then a Larry Hama comic book adaptation of Sgt Slaughter. Then a kind of painted sort of WWE style looking bit in the top left here. And a big old pic of the Sgt Slaughter character in the middle and the digital render of the figure. Name of the line, Hasbro, name of the figure. So yeah, that's a nice, very eye-catching bit of shelf presence there in the figure. On the back, no longer the big kind of artwork, poster artwork piece with all the figures in. We've got a further digital render representation of Sgt Slaughter and a posed digital representation. Is it digital? I might actually be the figure. I don't know. But yeah, just a couple of peek at the figure there. That's my import sticker from Hong Kong. Then we've got all the legal bollocks and everything across the bottom. Then on the sides, we've got a lovely bit of artwork on this side here, which is like a close-up, zoomed-in profile shot of half of Sgt Slaughter's face. Loving the little Sky Strikers in formation reflecting in his mirrored aviators there. So 80s. Love it. Absolutely just a tremendous representation of the character there. That's great. And then on the other side, it's the profile card thingamadoodad, number 53 in the line. And it looks here, I've not looked them up, but it looks here, the key characteristics of Sgt Slaughter are that he likes stargazing, he fist bumps his friends, he never misses a shoulder workout, and he does not do admin. That's obviously a manila file with a big no through it. Sgt Slaughter does not involve himself with admin. Do not ask him to do his reports. Pretty plain bottom, pretty standard top with a number on it. So yeah, there we go. There's the packaging look. Should we get this bad boy open? I think we should. So I've already popped the tape in the bottom there to help slide it out. What we got? Oh, we got like little mini boxes here. So, okay, there's the figure in like a little storage case, and he's tie wrapped in with these little kind of stringy tie wraps. And then this box must be with all the goodies and accessories. Oh, that's taped in as well. Where's my knife? Let's get this itty-bitty box open and have a look at the accessories. Right then, so let's open that up from the top there. Very nice, like a little storage locker. And then, oh, everything's all kind of protected and packaged up in cardboard. Oh, there's the paperwork. And then some stuff in a baggie. Oh, and there's another one there. Right, I'll put that knife away again and I still need it. Okay, start with the baggie. I've just torn the top off there like a little bag of crisps or whatever. And in here we have, let's see. Oh, the mini fig. Love that. That's a really cute little accessory. And then, oh, this is all the swappable hands by the looks of it. Swappable hands. Oh, there's a hat in here. There's his hat. More swappable hands. Just swappable hands for days. No shortage of hands here. Is that everything? Yeah, that's a flat bag, I think. I like the design motif on that. That's a nice little touch, isn't it? Bit of character, Cobra and Joe. Then in this one here, let's just kind of open up this cardboard and we find the shades, the aforementioned mirrored aviators there. Lovely jubbly. Then in this one we've got, oh, there's his rifle. Looks like it's magazineless at the moment, so there's probably a magazine hanging around somewhere. And then in here, we've got his drill sergeant's whistle and his drill sergeant's... Oh, what are these called? There's a name for these. The BT sticks. And then I've just cut the tie wraps from the back of the packet off screen. Oh, that's kind of caught up in his... Oh, right, it's gone through. Yeah, okay. And then, yeah, let's just peel all that crap off. There we go. And there we are. There's the figure. Right, there we go. There's Sergeant Slaughter, and an absolute embarrassment of riches to go along with him. So that's very exciting. All right, I'm off to have my man-child playtime. I'm going to get some displays done with this guy, definitely, and test all this out. I'll be back in a couple of days once I've had some good, solid hands-on time with him to offer some thoughts and opinions. So stick around. We'll move into the review section of the video now. And here he is. Here is the G.I. Joe Classified Sergeant Slaughter. It's been a couple of days since my package arrived. I've had him in hand. I've had a good play around with him, messing about with all the different accessories and posing him up in different ways. And I am now ready to come along and share some thoughts. It's the review section of the video, folks. Aren't you lucky to be tuning in and listening to my review thoughts on the Sergeant Slaughter figure? And if you're new around these parts, just a very quick rundown. A MoDXtra Games and Collectibles action figure review takes a very simple structure that I call the 3 A's. The first A is aesthetic. Gonna have a bit of conversation and review how the Sergeant Slaughter figure looks. Is he easy on the eye? Does he look how I want him to look as a collector, and all that good stuff and all those good thoughts there? Then on to the second A, articulation. Let's talk about how he feels, how he moves, how posable he is. And then third and final A in the structure is accessories and added value. What extras have they chucked in with Sergeant Slaughter to really make him worth the price, or to give us more options, or tell more of a story with our figure? Whatever you may be looking for, whether you're a photographer, a display person, if you're a man-child like me who likes to just play with their figures, let's find out what else we've got with Slaughter to make that come to life. And with all that said and done, it will bring me to the end of the review, and hopefully, if you're thinking about picking up a Sergeant Slaughter of your own, my thoughts will help you make your mind up. So let's not dilly-dally around, let's get straight into it, and let's have a conversation about the aesthetic. So let's get in there for a bit of a closer inspection then. Let's take a finer detail look at the aesthetic qualities of this figure. And as you can see, what we've got here is the usual high G.I. Joe Classified Series standard on display. Let's start with the head sculpt, for example. Wonderful head sculpt on the figure. We've come to expect it from G.I. Joe Classified now, but they've once again done it with Sergeant Slaughter. Some of the key physical features that are synonymous with the physical personality of the character are there. The chin, the handlebar moustache, all very prominent in the head sculpt. But the other features are given equal space to be what they are too. The cheekbones, the nose, the forehead and eyebrows, the ears, all lovely and detailed, all excellent pieces of work, nice and proportioned. Very happy and pleased with that. The paint applications are nice and neat and tidy as well. The moustache, the eyebrows, the eyes are all top-notch. I might argue that the eyes aren't quite as good as we've come to expect from G.I. Joe Classified. When I think of Stalker and Spirit and Outback that I've had in hand lately, that have really got, the faces are really telling a story there. The eyes are perhaps not quite up to that standard. But I get why that is, because I'm reviewing the aesthetic qualities of the figure right now without some of the key features, and that is the sunglasses and the hat. I'll kind of get to those a bit later on when I do the accessory section of the review. And I think it would be rare to find anyone posing their figure up without the sunglasses and hat on, which kind of add another element and extra dimension to the aesthetic of the head area, the above the shoulder area. So I'm kind of forgiving of that. It's the same with the hair. I mean, they've just gone with a very sort of severe military Brill-Keen down buzz cut kind of thing from a sergeant. I mean, there's nothing particularly wrong with it. It's a good sculpt. It's well textured. It looks like hair, but I don't know. It's just it's not quite as exciting as, say, Outback was. I'll tell you what else. I had him pose like this yesterday when I was taking some photos with his fists up in the air, and without the hat and sunglasses, he looks like a kind of, with the handlebar moustache and the brill-creamed hair, he looks like some kind of Victorian pugilist about to throw down in a in a London slum boxing match. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why. Weird association there to have with the figure. But anyway, carrying on with aesthetic. Lots of skin on show, and obviously the muscular features are all really great on the arms and across the shoulders here. Big part of, again, the physical identity, the physical personality of Sgt Slaughter is those big, broad, restless shoulders, you know, and they're very, very present here. The vest too, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but there's a lovely bit of texture in the vest, the kind of fabric texture to give it some nice depth. And then same again with the belt. You've got a nice kind of white, one of those kind of military canvas belts with the buckle. Again, lovely, neat paint applications there. And then the pants are the usual fabric texture in the G.I. Joe Classified series, but you can see the camouflage pattern. And that, of course, again, is another little aspect of detail that gives the character personality, tells the story. And, of course, his boots. Nice little touch there, green boots with the black leather bottom on them. Nice detail on the laces and whatnot. Yeah, so while he's a fairly plain figure in some respects, because it's the accessory selection really that adds that extra aesthetic element to the figure, I still think he's very neatly done, very finely balanced, good colour, good size, good shape, good detail, good sculpt, good texture, good depth. It's just G.I. Joe Classified all over, just absolutely ticking all the boxes. But even with such a minimalist design here, which is just a guy in combat trousers and a vest, the G.I. Joe Classified team have managed to make it still tell a bit of a story, which is interesting because when you compare it to like Marvel Legends, when they've got quite a minimalist character that's just in a tight jumpsuit, it's just kind of molded onto the body, and that's that. Whereas this, they've added some texture, added some depth. It's the little things like the wristbands. To add a little bit of a frame to the way the character looks and feels. It's just all very, very top-notch. They're doing a lot of work with very little going on there, and I think that's to the credit of the G.I. Joe Classified design team. I really do. You could argue that the facial expression is a bit kind of flat and lacking a bit of energy and dynamic to it, and that would be fair to some degree. It's certainly a criticism I throw in the direction of Marvel Legends all the time, that when you want to tell a story with your figure, there's a bit of a narrative unfolding, the facial expression can be a very central part of telling that story visually, and Marvel Legends get it wrong all the time. G.I. Joe Classified, they do have a little bit more of a stoic, more more kind of, I don't know, serious, resting sort of soldiery facial expression thing going on, and Sgt Slaughter's much the same, so I'm willing to give it a little bit more of a pass here. Also with Sgt Slaughter, when he has got the glasses and the hat on, it looks a lot more like a sort of pissed off, displeased drill sergeant than it does kind of an expressionless facial thing going on, you know what I mean? So I'm a bit more forgiving, but you'd be fair to point out that I seem to be more forgiving than with G.I. Joe Classified than I am with Marvel Legends on that front. So overall, aesthetically, it's a thumbs up once again for the G.I. Joe Classified series. This Sgt Slaughter figure does look just as I would expect him and want him to look. It is quite minimal. There's not a lot going on. It's not a great deal of detail in the grand scheme of things when it comes to the way he's dressed, but the presentation and the implementation of all this minimal stuff is really, really top notch, and brought to life more by the accessory selection, which I'll return to a bit later on in the review, so stick around for that section. So yeah, very happy with the way he looks and feels, the size, the shape, the physicality of him. Everything is there, is what you'd want from your Sgt Slaughter figure. Let's now talk a little bit about the articulation and see what's going on there. And once again, I have to report that we've got the usual G.I. Joe Classified high standard. It's going to get repetitive, these G.I. Joe Classified reviews, aren't they? They've followed the same articulation model that they've followed with their figures for a while now, and it's a good standard. It's very satisfying. There's a lot of opportunity to articulate and pose your figure in a variety of ways, and I'm pleased with that. So starting above the shoulders then with the head, we've got the ball joint up here in the skull, and then there's a hinge or something going on in the chest here where the neck meets the chest. But what that gives us is good up, good down, bit of tilt, and then the full Exorcist 360 if you were so inclined to do so. So that's the head going on. Butterfly joint in the shoulders there, allowing for a bit of shuffle back and forward. We can then open them up into the classic T. We've got the swivel at the top of the bicep and tricep here. Nice double elbow, which goes all the way up like that. Good range of motion in there. And the hands have got the usual pinned in swivel. And both of them have got hinges back and forward. The butterfly joints in the shoulders when he was first out the packet a couple of days ago were really stiff, but after a few days posing and play, they seem to have loosened up quite nicely. That's not so the case with the ab crunch here. If you listen, little bit of resistance there, a bit clicky, bit creaky, but that's okay. You can see the range of motion from the ab crunch in the figure there, giving you good front and back. And then we've got a split in the waist that gives you motion in the waist area, like so. Down into the legs, and it's the standard G.I. Joe classified setup. In fact, I'm pretty confident these are reused legs. My drop-down joint on this Sgt Slaughter is very stiff indeed. Not a great deal of motion there, which has been a little tricky on the odd pose that I've tried to get him into, but that may well be unique to my particular figure out of the packet. I don't think that's anything to do with the design particularly, because, as I say, we've seen these legs before. But yeah, lots of motion in there. Get them out. You can do the splits. Very good splits from Sgt Slaughter. In fact, he was obviously a dancer in a previous life. Swivel at the top of the thigh. Got the double knee there. Gets right up to his arse cheeks. Swivel on the boot cut. And the standard G.I. Joe classified hinge and rocker on the feet. So, once again, it's a thumbs up from G.I. Joe classified series Sgt Slaughter. It's a well-articulated figure. It's not doing anything new. There's nothing particularly unique articulation-wise when compared to other figures in the G.I. Joe classified range. That's fine, though. I've been happy with articulation from that series for a long while, and I'm happy once again with Sgt Slaughter. So, no complaints here. Pleased to see the usual, really, because the usual is great. I'm in love with the usual. The only thing, like I say, is that with my particular figure, there's some crunchy joints going on. They've loosened up now after a couple of days, but the drop-down groin area, the butterfly joints were really tight straight out the packet. And one other thing I noticed, which I haven't kind of spoken about yet because I've not done the accessories section, but the hand swaps, the pegs are really tight, very difficult to get in and out. But aside from that, you know, these little kind of complications that niggle but don't overwhelm, I'm very happy with my Sgt Slaughter in terms of articulation. So another thumbs up. So let's now move into the accessories. There's a lot going on as far as the accessories are concerned. I mentioned before that a couple of the accessories are a big part of the visual identity of the character, so I'll get started with those in just a second. But I did want to say with regards to the accessories that I often describe them on this channel as the accessory stroke added value section of the review. But while I'm very happy that there's loads of great accessories that really open up a world of narrative options when it comes to posing and displaying your Sgt Slaughter figure, and playing, of course, got to get your playtime in, they're not really added value because the price has been cranked up. He's sold as a deluxe exclusive, and so added value is not really the right phrase. I suppose the terminology would be accessories that are inclusive, you know what I mean? Because you're paying for them. You're basically paying for them. And I don't know whether they justify the price increase, but they're still pretty cool. They're very cool. But anyway, on to the accessories then. And of course, I mentioned before the sunglasses, his big mirrored aviators. These are really awesome. They really add to the aesthetic of the character, so I'm very pleased about that. Also, they're very easy to take on and off. Very simple. They sit super natural, nice and neat and comfortable, and then, you know, they're not like awkwardly bent across his nose or anything like that. I was only just the other day having a whinge about the little reader glasses that came with my Marvel Legends Beast. And I also complained about the sunglasses that came with the Valorverse version of Sgt Slaughter. More on that in a minute. But yeah, these are great. They sit tight, they sit firm, they sit neatly, they look positioned correctly. Very pleased about that. Then, of course, there's the hat, which when you bring that into the story, just clips onto his hairline across the top there like that. The glasses and the hat complement each other perfectly. There's no, again, it's not, with the glasses on, it's not sitting awkwardly at an angle or anything like that. It's expertly done, very well sculpted. It's a lovely hat, by the way, as well. It's got his little sergeant's insignia on the front, got the little strap on there, the colour, the brown is great. And that, of course, has all just lifted that aesthetic experience, and that more bland facial expression becomes something new with the sunglasses and the hat. That looks like he's seriously looking out and across the training field and surveying his recruits and just like groaning to himself like, oh, these guys are shit. I'm gonna have to whip them into shape. You know what I mean? So brilliant. Kick those maggots into shape, Sgt Slaughter. And while I'm in the sort of drill sergeant element of his character, we've got these accessories here. We've got like his little whipping stick thing. Please, somebody do drop into the comments down below and let me know what one of those is called. I didn't even know what to Google to try and figure out his name. I was trying to look it up before I started talking on a hot mic, but I did not succeed. However, look at the detail in that. You got the brass ball at the end, the grip, the black grip, the little bit of I don't know what that is, a bit of a horsewhip bit, and the wooden brown, all very good. And then of course his whistle with the brown leather strap. That's textured, by the way. I don't know if you can see that on camera. And, you know, the brassy gold kind of paint app there. All very neat and tidy. Lovely little accessories. And again, like I say, just open up an avenue of posing, an avenue of storytelling that you can do with your Sgt Slaughter figure. Sgt Slaughter also comes with a rifle here. It's just a plain black sculpt with a little bit of brown detailing to add to the kind of visual experience of the rifle. It's got like a bit of an AK-47 vibe to my eye, but I'm confident we've seen this rifle before, just all black. Maybe you think with one of the Cobra Troopers off the top of my head. You have to kind of construct it. You've got the magazine which comes out that you can fit into the magazine channel there, and then this kind of laser sight thing that slips into this little channel at the top there to kind of complete the rifle. So there you go. He's got a little bit of weaponry. I might have liked a handgun, to be honest, like a big revolver or a Desert Eagle style pistol, but that's all they give, or even a knife, but that's all they're giving us in terms of weaponry. But that's fine, because wait till you see the next little embarrassment of riches, because he's got hands, lots of hands, just loads of hands. We've got a left and a right pointing finger, a couple of open-palmed claw hands, and these have several purposes with regards to the figure. I'll speak about that in a minute. And we have a trigger finger for each hand as well. Just had to borrow a second gun off one of my Valaverse figs there very quickly to demonstrate that in use. The open-palm grippy claw one is a hand that I've been wanting from G.I. Joe Classified series since day dot, because look at how better that is for holding the what's that bit called, not the butt, the grip of the gun. Looks much more natural and easier to get in than when it's two trigger hands. Much happier about that. But this one does also serve a second purpose, because it allows him to show off the mini-me figure that comes with it. Look at this cute little mini Sgt Slaughter in the G.I. Joe Classified Retro blister pack. I love it. So I think this little cutie here is a reference, maybe, to an old 80s G.I. Joe toy commercial that featured the actual Sgt Slaughter in it or something. I don't know. We never saw that over here in the United Kingdom, and I think I heard it mentioned on a stream once, but never really went away and investigated. So again, let me know in the comments down below what the reference is. But it's still a lot of fun, really cool. Look at that. You can actually take the little fella out. You can slide the back off there and pop the figure out. I'm leaving mine in though. I want to leave that whole blister pack mini experience all together, but you can do that, and I've seen photos that have been taken with the miniature version of the Sgt Slaughter figure removed from the packaging there. But yeah, look at that. What a fun little twist. Nice little sense of humour from the G.I. Joe Classified team. I appreciate it. Probably Lenny. Thanks, Lenny. Love you, Lenny. So the accessory selection with Sgt Slaughter is really fun. I mean, I think that every G.I. Joe Classified figure should come with a range of swappable hands. In fact, I think every action figure full stop should come with a range of swappable hands. But when I do get one with lots of options and loads of variety in what I can do in that space, then I'm really, really happy. I like that we've got some stuff for those storytelling kind of poses. We've got Jill Sergeant mode, but then we've also got action mode, but then we've also got boxing match mode. You know, there's loads of different aspects and elements of the character that I can tell a nice little display story around, which I'm really, really happy about. So the accessories is another thumbs up. I would only say, my only criticism is I'd like a handgun or a knife, you know, some kind of small arms to come with Sgt Slaughter as well. But that's really, just honestly, me being a bit greedy now. Comparison time now, folks, and here is Sgt Slaughter next to the Tiger Force Outback. You can really see the height difference and broad-shouldered difference between the two. I thought Outback was a little bit beefier than some of the other characters, like when I put him next to my Flint, for example. But yeah, you can really see the difference there in the kind of shape and size and physique of those characters. Here's Sergeant Slaughter with my Roadblock. I grabbed this one because this is the one that makes me think of the 80s movie, you know, with the combat vest on him. But what's interesting about this, I suppose, is that Roadblock, who I would consider to be, again, that big, muscular, very top-heavy physique, isn't looking as muscular and bulky or as tall as Sergeant Slaughter. So it might be time for a new Roadblock with this book on it. I don't know, because he's now looking a bit skinny by comparison, and I kind of think Roadblock's similar in size and shape and physique as Sergeant Slaughter. But anyway, there you go. You make your own decision. Here's Sergeant Slaughter with a villain now. We've got the Bat. He's about to land a punch square on that Bat's visored jaw because the Sergeant, he refused to stand still and pose and be photographed next to one of these dirty robots, and he don't care that his head's made of metal. He is sparking him out. And here is the comparison that is being played out to death across Sergeant Slaughter G.I. Joe Classified reviews all over YouTube right now. The Hasbro version and the Valorverse version. And the first thing that strikes you is the physique, the height and the musculature of the Hasbro version is much more prominent, more formidable by comparison to the musculature and shape of the Sergeant Slaughter from Valorverse. I think the Hasbro one is just a little bit slicker and neat around the edges. I know the Valorverse fanboy crowd will come out of the woodwork now and bombard me in the comments, I'm sure, because I'm that overwhelmingly popular channel that would happen. But it's the little things like the way the sunglasses are, you know, the build and design and the interaction with the figure that the sunglasses have and the hat are much slicker, much neater around the edges, much better engineered than the Valorverse one. The articulation, I've had my troubles, even today still, with the articulation on my Valorverse Sergeant Slaughter, and I've owned it for like the best part of a year now. It's less shiny and plasticky over here. The skin tones, for example, are a great example of that, whereas we've got this kind of sparkly, shiny sheen on the Valorverse one. I don't know. I think I'm much happier with the Hasbro, personally. I'm going to be using that one a great deal, and that one may be on its way to eBay fodder at this rate because I'm just not really clicking. I've never clicked with it the way I wanted to click with it. What I will say, though, is I like the chin better on the Valorverse one. It's much more prominent. There's actually one quick note on this is that the Sergeant Slaughter from Hasbro has definitely got much more of a kind of comic booky, cartoony look and feel about it, whereas I think the Valorverse one's going for a little bit more kind of gritty, kind of realistic kind of feel about it, and I get that. I get why they would do that, so that's all cool. But yeah, again, as I always say on these comparisons, you'll make your own mind up looking at them side by side. So here's Slaughter going around on the turntable. You can take a bit of a look at him there. I must admit that at this point I normally say something like, and this is the pose that I've had him in on the shelf since yesterday, but confession time, I can't settle into a pose with Slaughter. I've been going back and forth and trying different things out, which is no bad thing. It's me engaging with my figure and getting my playtime in. I'm just a bit spoilt for choice. We've got all these different hands. There's like the pointy stuff, and there's all the drill sergeant accessories, or you could do something cutesy and a bit funny with the mini-me figure. I mean, my son, he's all like, yeah, do something with that, daddy. So that's possibly where we'll end up falling. But then he's also got a rifle, so you can tool him up. One of the interesting things I noticed is that when I had him all drill sergeanted up in the pose, very similar to how I had him earlier in this video where he was pointing and ordering some recruits around, it didn't look right in the larger visual storytelling of my display because all my other Joes are tooled up. They're kitted up with rifles and handguns, and they're all kind of thick of the action poses, and then he was just sort of stood there in the middle like he was bossing everyone around, and it didn't work. But I'm not sure I want to pose him with the rifle because actually I'm not as keen on the way he looks with the rifle. I don't think Slaughter works with that. So I might just drop a handgun in his hand or something. I might pilfer the one off the Valorverse figure, or maybe I wonder what I'm doing with Major Blood's pistol right now. That'd be a good fit for him. But I'll settle in on something soon enough. I just don't think the action pose is right for him. I think the drill sergeant pose is right for him, but I'm telling a bit of a story with the whole display, so I'll make my mind up. But let me know how you've got him posed. Drop into the comments down below and give me a bit of an idea of what you've got going on. So there we are. There's my Sergeant Slaughter review. I hope you enjoyed watching today, and if you're thinking about picking one up, I hope my thoughts have helped you make your mind up. I've been Chris. This is the MoDXtra Games and Collectibles channel, and I'll see you sometime again soon. I hope you have a great day. Ta-ra now.